If you've been on TikTok recently, I'm sure you've heard the term coastal grandmother. And what does this even mean? Why do people want to be a coastal grandma this summer? Well, the term was coined by an influencer named Lex Nicoletta, and she says that this is sort of a lifestyle, fashion, and home decor aesthetic, oftentimes appealing to people who have a need for a coastal vibe, a slower lifestyle. Maybe they like Nancy Meyers movies and kicking back with some wine. A lot of times, this aesthetic is related to going to farmers markets, relaxing on the beach, and like I said, fashion and home decor. When it comes to the style associated with coastal grandma, we have a lot of light tones, so creams, whites, and pale blues. You'll often see people dressing in cream colored shorts, skirts, or pants, especially if they're linen or cotton, and a button down is necessary to complete this vibe, especially if you have it with a sweater thrown across the shoulders. So this is a very sort of casual but preppy look, something you might have seen the Kennedy family wearing back in the day. If you go on TikTok right now, and I'll play some here, you will see a myriad of people showing you how to dress like a coastal grandmother. So this is a very cozy and casual, breathable fashion style, but you still, again, look very preppy, very put together. And perhaps you might be dressing like how a grandmother living on the Cape or the coast of Maine might dress. When it comes to the home decor of a coastal grandmother, it's much of the same vibe. It has a lot of those lighter tones, whites and creams, but it also has some really homey textures. Think linens, maybe some rattan, something like a beach house vibe, but on a more put together, luxurious level. So all in all, coastal grandmother is related to the idea of having a slow, luxurious lifestyle, but having it still be very homey. While it's high end, it is still comfortable. So many people have been getting in on this trend, and it is a pretty timeless aesthetic. I mean, this has been idealized for ever. Again, I reference the Kennedys. How many people back in the day, and still to this day, look to the Kennedys for lifestyle and fashion inspiration? I mean, they were good Americans and a great example of that kind of idealized family. Anne Hathaway even got in on the joke. She posted a little outfit of hers saying that she has been dressing like a coastal grandmother forever. So this has been around, but this has been a term that has recently gone viral to sort of label this aesthetic. When I think coastal grandmother, I think beaches, Cape Cod, Maine, farmers markets, things that I do really love. Of course, I would just adore the kind of life where I could sit on a porch by the beach, reading a book, maybe with some tea or a glass of wine, just taking a second to breathe in the roses, smell the roses. That would be amazing. But I do want to talk about the roots of this aesthetic. Of course, it's really not that deep. It is just a style and home decor inspiration, and maybe a little push for people to slow down and appreciate the moment. It's a TikTok trend. It isn't that deep. It's kind of surface level. But of course, everything in terms of style, home decor, lifestyle has a sort of origin point. And I'd like to sort of discuss that a little bit today. I mentioned the Kennedy family earlier, and they are a perfect example of what I would call the start of this coastal grandmother aesthetic. They dressed like it. They had the homes. They had the money. Because a lot of this aesthetic ties into the sort of blue blood, wealthy, generational family wealth lifestyle in New England in particular. So think about those people who have those fancy beach houses on the Cape or in the Hamptons. They probably have the time and money to take a summer off, go off to their beach house and relax. And of course, that is a luxury that not everybody, and I would say most people, do not have the opportunity to do. I said blue blood earlier, and in case you don't know what that means, it's essentially a family of renown, perhaps nobility, wealth, a very sort of high-class, prominent family in society. I'm going to reference the Kennedys a million times because I just think they're the perfect example of this term. For me, a lot of this old money and this idea of being blue-blooded ties back to New England. I love New England. I'm actually hoping to move there soon. My entire family from my mom's side still lives there and they are from there. But there's always been a wealth disparity in New England, just as there is across, I was going to say America, but really the whole world. There are families up there, like the Kennedys, I'm going to say it a million times, don't take a shot every time I do, who have this generational wealth. And they have a lot of renown. They're prominent in this sort of New England society because maybe it's not as prevalent today, but there is still this idea of sort of proper society, especially up in New England. For example, if you have a house on the Cape and you get to go to your house on the Cape Cod, on the weekend, that is something in New England. That proves that you have money, connections, and they're probably living a certain lifestyle, coastal grandmother lifestyle, out at the Cape. And as much as I would love to have that life where I could go off to my beach house and relax, that would be the dream, embracing not only this style or home decor style, but the actual vibe and day-to-day experience of being a coastal grandmother. However, myself, like most other people, we can't do this. You know, we have jobs, we have things to do day to day, maybe we have kids or school. We can't just afford to take the time off to go to a beach house and relax. Not only are beach towns notoriously expensive, especially in New England, people just don't even have the luxury of time to be able to do this. While living the slow life sounds great, and I think that it's a good reminder for all of us to appreciate the little things, I think we also have to acknowledge that not everybody can do this. Some people work multiple jobs and they're running around just trying to make ends meet. And even people like myself who aren't struggling, who are pretty privileged, you know, I'm still busy. I'm job searching. I'm about to graduate. I am in debt from all of my student loans. You know, not that I'm happy about that, but this is just life for most people. And like I said earlier, it's really not that deep, probably. But I do want to say, for the people who live those aesthetic lives on Instagram and on TikTok, that these are not normal lifestyles. They're perfect, they're idealized, and they're only showing you small snapshots. Not everybody, even these very wealthy people, can go and just live this slow coastal grandmother life on the beach. And this coastal grandmother lifestyle is not something that everybody needs to try and achieve. Just like how any other luxurious lifestyle on the internet is something that we should take too seriously, something that we should really try to replicate. Because I am here to remind you, the internet is not real, and it's not a reflection of real life. These things that a lot of really wealthy influencers get to do or portray online, that's not reality for most people. It's not normal. Another thing I want to note is that this sort of coastal grandmother aesthetic tends to represent white people, people like myself. When scrolling through this hashtag on Instagram and TikTok, I don't think I have seen a single person of color involving themselves or being represented in this aesthetic. It's pretty much all white people, perhaps people with blue eyes, blonde hair, like myself. And again, I think this ties back into this sort of idea of the families that could achieve this lifestyle. So white families, families with generational wealth and opportunity, people who are prominent in society, which historically have pretty much always been white people. Throughout our history, you know, white people like myself and white families, they have been awarded societal rank and opportunities and wealth that people of color and families of color have not had the opportunities to have. So it's really not a surprise to me that that leads into this aesthetic being pretty white centered. And this is something that happens in pretty much every aesthetic online. We saw it with balletcore and cottagecore, just to name a couple. I would love to see more people of color in person and online being able to participate in this trend or feel like they're included, because right now I'm not seeing it. And again, I can't really say much on this in particular. Obviously, this is not my experience. I am a white person with family in New England. I am literally the example that I keep seeing online. So as a person who is not a person of color, I can't exactly speak on this. So if anybody who happens to be watching this is a person of color, I would love to hear your thoughts on this and maybe just how people of color aren't represented in other aesthetics online. But again, let's just come back together and remind everybody that it shouldn't be this serious, right? It's just an aesthetic. But I do think that there are a lot of historical and societal implications that go into the creation of these aesthetics that we should, just consider. We should look at, especially if we are the ones who are always included in these aesthetics. Although I do have to say, I really like this aesthetic. I think it's a really pleasing, visual, and it's a comfortable idea when it comes to dressing and decor. It's cozy, it's warm. I also really enjoy the idea of taking a deep breath, taking a moment, and appreciating the slow life. If you are lucky enough to have an opportunity to do so this summer, I highly, highly recommend it, because I will be doing the same if I had the chance. All right, well, that is it. I will see you in the next video, and I'd love to hear your thoughts on coastal grandmothers. Bye.